Hey race fans, it's Ashley Stremme, and well, it's time to get off track. Today we're going to chat with a girl who didn't necessarily grow up in racing, but has fallen in love and has been bitten by the sprint car bug, of course. It is none other than Lyndsay Barna from Fox 43. So stay tuned and we'll catch up with Lyndsay in just a moment.
Perfection isn't easily achieved. It takes hard work, dedication, and perseverance. Through their commitment to excellence, Sage Fruit Company has been supplying customers with the best tree fruit in the Pacific Northwest for over 3 generations. They work hard on the farm, in the packing facilities, and with their retail partners to provide consistent, high-quality apples and pears all year long. Look for Sage Fruit at your local grocer.
Welcome back to Getting Off Track. Catching up with Lyndsay Barna here. Lyndsay, talk about what it is. I guess let's start with this. What is your exact title with Fox, and what do you get to do with your job?
Well, I probably have one of the best jobs, obviously, in the world right now. I am a sports anchor reporter at Fox 43. I've had that position for 2.5 years now. I started in news and then transitioned over to sports. But we cover everything from racing to high school sports to college sports, national. We're just in this awesome market that we can cover pretty much everything.
So tell me how that worked. Is it something that you go to the station and say, hey, I want to start covering racing? Or is that something that they came to you and said, hey, this is Central Pennsylvania is huge for sprint car racing. We want you to start covering it. How did that kind of come about?
Yeah, so when I moved to the area a little over 5 years ago, I noticed that this is just a hotbed for racing. I didn't really honestly know until I moved to this area because growing up in northeastern Pennsylvania, we had big blocks. We had smaller tracks, not any kind of tracks like this. This is huge. So when I was in news, I brought the conversation to the table and said, hey, we really need to start doing racing coverage, whether it's weekly or just when there's big races, but we need something. We started just covering like PA Speed Week, and then 2.5 years ago, we started our Sunday sports show, and my sports director came to me and was like, what do you want to do with it? And I said, give me a racing segment, and we'll do it every single week, 52 weeks out of the year.
That's awesome. So was it something at first they were kind of hesitant about until they kind of saw what, it really brought to the table, and kind of maybe the fan outreach that they saw and were getting positive feedback from?
Yeah, I don't think they realized how big this racing community really was, or how big racing is in Central PA, until we really started getting our feet wet and saw everyone keep reaching. Every week I get people reaching out to me saying, oh, we love your coverage, keep doing it, we can't get enough of it.
That's awesome. So obviously we're here at the Speed Palace, Port Royal Speedway. I know you've covered Lincoln, Williams Grove. I've seen you there myself. Do you kind of get to pick and choose, or did it kind of dictate where you go that weekend, or is it completely up to you and you've got free range of the sports in the racing industry?
So racing wise, I really honestly have free range. My sports director pretty much comes to me and said, all right, what you got on tap for this weekend? What's going on? Typically, obviously, Fridays, Williams Grove. Saturdays and with Lincoln and Port, I try to go back and forth with the two of them. But obviously, when there's a big weekend like the White Dirt this week at Port Royal, that's obviously the one that takes the precedence.
So you say 52 weeks a year. Obviously, racing starts in February at Lincoln, and then there's a bunch of weather-related weeks off maybe at the very beginning, and then obviously we wrap in October, November. So what are you doing, November, December, January for racing when there's nothing happening at the track?
I kind of take the approach, even throughout all of the weeks during racing season, that there's always a story to tell. It's not just highlights. There's always something, whether it's behind the helmet, a race fan. There's so much that goes into racing around Central PA with the tracks, race fans, drivers, that there's always something to really cover.
Well, it's been awesome for me to watch because obviously I grew up here in Central Pennsylvania, and we talk about pay-per-view. We talk about now you guys, the news, actually covering sports, and we've talked about this a lot through Wing Nation, is the fact that, back in the 90s, there was a lot of team owners, car owners, if you will, and guys had opportunity to drive for these car owners, and then they kind of went away. There was a lot of family teams. There's a couple car owners out there, but now there's a resurgence in car owners. There's several coming back, and I truly believe that the news coverage is helping that, because sponsors are willing to jump on board because they're getting out in front of the fans and just casual viewers that you guys reach out to every single week. So what's it? I mean, have you heard that from people, or are you getting that outreach as well?
Not so much. We're just whatever we can cover is what we try to do. Obviously, with our station, whatever gets posted is pretty much just free for anybody to watch. That's what the beauty of our industry is. So we just get free range, and I've seen it personally too with the car counts every week. Like last night, we just had 35 cars at Lincoln, still with the Wiker going on, and it's just amazing to see this industry still bloom.
It's insane. It really has had a resurgence, and you said it. Lincoln was huge last night. The World of Outlaws were just over in Ohio, which is not obscene for Central PA guys to go tag along over there, and the car count was incredible there. But Lyndsay, you kind of touched on it at the beginning. You weren't really raised in dirt track racing. This is something that you're learning as you go and have come to love. So if I had to ask, I'm not going to put you on the spot, but do you have a favorite driver? Is there someone that you kind of cheer for in the inside, even though you have to be politically correct when it comes to what you do with the news station?
Honestly, it's any PA driver I cheer for. I'm always rooting for the local guys, whether they're racing with the Outlaws against the All-Stars like today, but whichever stage that they're on, I'm definitely cheering for the PA posse.
So growing up in the Northeast, were you big into big blocks? Did you go to the dirt track, or this is all 100% new and you've just become a diehard? Because we talk about it. You know, I'm a lifer, born and raised in it. My dad parked literally right over there as a kid. And when you get bit by the racing bug, it's something that outsiders don't necessarily understand, but you are a perfect example of it.
Yeah, so I grew up about 15 minutes from Hamlin Speedway. It's not so much big blocks, it's kind of the smaller micros and stuff like that. So I wasn't too familiar, obviously, with sprint car racing. I knew like Tony Stewart, Casey Kane. Those guys would like race on the weekends or whenever they could with sprint cars. But it wasn't until like I got to this area. I was already a motorhead. I loved NASCAR growing up, and this is kind of where I found my passion.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So do you get to kind of expand, like if you wanted to go Western Pennsylvania, Eastern Pennsylvania, because it is still Pennsylvania, or does the news station keep you pretty locked down in Central Pennsylvania?
So obviously this is our coverage area, so
Sure.
we stay here as much as we can, but we do try to get out. Like I'd love to go up to Bloomsburg, even though that's not too far.
Yeah.
Having their new season this year, and All-Stars were just there. But we do have a few bucket races on our list, whether it's Knoxville, the World Finals. So
Really?
we'll see when those happen. Eldora is also on the list, so it depends when the weeks fall, because obviously like high school sports are our number one concern with local media. So we'll just see where the pick comes.
So in terms of that, obviously, you know, there's 9 million different sports out there, from basketball to baseball, all season long.
Yeah.
How do you juggle your schedule, essentially knowing that racetracks run every Friday or Saturday, and some sporting events fall on the weekends as well?
They do. Some days turn out longer than others. Sometimes my day starts at like 8 o'clock in the morning covering a game or two, and then I come to the racetrack, or there is a lot of give and take to where I need to set up a story earlier in the week, and then it will air obviously Sunday, and I may not get to, per se, the racetrack that week, but we always make sure that we have something in the bank to at least show to our viewers.
That's absolutely awesome. Well, Lyndsay, I know you've got work to do tonight, a big race. Folks, if you ever see her out at the track, she's the girl with the huge camera that she just wheels up on her shoulder like it's no big deal. I absolutely love it. Lyndsay, thank you so much for what you do here in Central Pennsylvania for sprint car racing. It's absolutely incredible. And thank you for joining me today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely.